All right, Zero Hedge article for some normal non-crypto news, if you will. Authored by Charles Hugh Smith of Two Minds blog. I've read stuff from this guy before. He's putting this stuff together. He's putting some of the charts, the numbers, adding it all up, come to the same conclusion that we've all been talking about. You know, I've been telling you guys about for years. This can't end well. This massive debt bubble has to be dealt with. And how is that going to happen, and what's it going to look like, and what's going to be affected, right? It says the point is the present system cannot endure. Or maybe he meant in, not is. The point in the present system cannot endure. I don't know. Despite all the happy talk about recovery and higher growth, wages have gone nowhere since the year 2000. And for the bottom 20% of workers, they've gone nowhere since the 1970s. Gross domestic product, GDP, has risen smartly since 2000, but the share of GDP going to wages and salaries has actually plummeted. This is simply an extension of a 47-year downtrend. You know what gives me, believe it or not, I'm going to say what gives me great pleasure about reading this one? You're thinking, whoa. You're reading something kind of doomy economically coming, and it gives you great pleasure? Yeah, for one reason. I know a lot of you are into cryptos like I am, Bitcoin, blockchain stuff. And that is going to do so freaking well. It already is, as you've seen. I'm reporting it daily these days now. This won't even matter to most of us. House will be paid off, cars paid off, credit card paid off, set some money aside for the kids, You're going to be able to just sit back and chill. Maybe anyways. Last month, I posted one reason why we're doomed, our economy's toxic inequality, which was posted August 16th, 2017. The second half of why we're doomed is stagnant wages. Why do stagnating wages for the bottom 95% doom our status quo? As I noted yesterday in Why Wages Have Lost Ground in the 21st Century, our system requires ever higher household incomes to function, not just in the top 5% of the people, the richest top 5, top 5%, but in the top 80%, right? So household incomes need to be, right, ever higher for the top, not top, but the 80% of us, from 0 to 80%. Federal social programs. Our federal social programs, Social Security, Medicaid, Medicare, are pay-as-you-go. All the expenditures this year are paid by taxes collected this year. As I have detailed many times, the so-called trust funds are fictions. When Social Security runs a deficit, the difference between receipts and expenses are filled by selling treasury bonds in the open market. The exact same mechanism the government uses to fund any other deficit. The demographics of the nation have changed in the past 2 generations. The baby boom, or baby boomers, is retiring in mass, expanding the number of beneficiaries of these programs, while the number of full-time workers to retirees is down from 10 to 1 in the good old days to 2 to 1. There are 60 million beneficiaries of Social Security and Medicare, and about 120 million full-time workers in the U.S., he says. I was expecting to say it was went from 10 to 1 to 8 to 1. Not 2 to 1. This is red alert doom. Not today, not tomorrow, not next week, not next month, but again, this has to be dealt with at some point. Meanwhile, medical expenses per person are soaring, profiteering by healthcare cartels, new and ever more costly treatments, the rise of chronic lifestyle illnesses. There are many drivers of this trend. There is absolutely no evidence to support the fantasy that this trend will magically reverse. Costs are skyrocketing and the number of retirees is ballooning, but wages are going nowhere. Do you see the problem? All pay-as-you-go programs are based on the assumption that the number of workers and the wages they earn will both rise at the same or at a rate that is above the underlying rate of inflation and equal to the rate of increase in pay-as-you-go programs. If 95% of the households are earning less money when adjusted for inflation, and their wealth has also declined or stagnated, then how can we pay for programs which expanded by 6% or more every year? The short answer is you can't. The budget or budgets of state and local governments also expand every year as citizens demand more services. Infrastructure requires costly maintenance and upgrades, and the overall cost of providing government services rises. Soaring healthcare premiums are a major driver of higher government expenses. How can households pay higher property and sales taxes if their incomes are going nowhere? Stagnant wages equals stagnant income tax revenues. Then there's the consumer economy that depends on ever higher consumer spending. If wages are stagnant, how can households spend more money? The conventional answer is we'll blow asset bubbles in stocks, bonds, and housing, and households can spend this newfound wealth. Nice theory, but only the top slice of American households own enough of these assets to matter. Feast your eyes on these two charts of skyrocketing income and wealth inequality. This chart shows that the majority of income growth is now concentrated in the top, and I'm going to show you this. I'll just pull it up now. This chart shows that the majority of income growth is now concentrated in the top one. Was that zeroth of 1%? Maybe 1/10 of 1%, and most of what's left has gone to the top 5%. This is the only possible outcome of financialization and central bank inflated asset bubbles. Again, this tells you where all the money's going. Again, what do we always talk about for the last several years? This will be the biggest transfer of wealth in the history of this world, this planet. And you just saw it in the chart. I mean, it's already there. And they ain't done yet. Here's another one. Pull that up. Here's another look at the same dynamic, but excluding capital gains, which flow to those who own most of the assets, i.e. the top 1%. The bottom 90% lost 10% in the decades 2002 to 2012, and the top 5% gained 6%. And the very top of the wealth power pyramid, the top 1/100th of 1% gained a whopping 76%. Isn't that incredible? The conclusion is sobering. Wages, salaries, whatever, are no longer an adequate means to distribute income or paid work. Our system is broken at the deepest levels, not just economically broken, but socially broken as well. Clinging to this broken model and filling the widening gap between the super wealthy and everyone else with more debt will doom the system. This is why I've proposed a new way to organize production, consumption, work, and income in my book, A Radically Beneficial World, Automation, Technology, and Creating Jobs for All, which is linked here on Amazon for your viewing pleasure. The point is, the present system cannot endure. Borrowing trillions of dollars to paper over the failures, or this failure, won't work for much longer. We need a new system or we're well and truly doomed. And again, I've got to bring it up because it fits so many times. The 1988 cover of The Economist magazine. Get ready for a new world currency around 2018. The Phoenix, rising from the ashes. Matter of fact, when I talk about this, I should always put it up. And I know I have it in here somewhere. Hang on. There it is. Let's do this. It's to be a small one, but you'll still be able to see it. All right. 2018. The Phoenix, get ready for a world currency. Get a Phoenix coming, rising essentially out of the ashes of burning paper dollars. And again, you can see some of the faces, and you can tell these are different currencies of the world. They're all burning, and the Phoenix is rising. And remember, I've done this before, but I actually read you the article that was in this magazine because I found someone who blogged it, the full thing, and it talks about the Phoenix coin or the Phoenix currency penning in for right around 2018, and it talked about using the SDR and that kind of thing. So, what are the chances that cryptos are taking off the way they are right now? It's a system that would actually be better than anything we've had so far. Blockchain technology, open ledger, etc. And this is happening as far as debt, all these problems, massive debt creation, central bank intervention constantly, right? What's the new system that they're talking about? Get ready for a world currency. Which one are they talking about? It could very well be blockchain based. We've already talked about this. Ain't gonna be a chance in hell it's AC chain coin. Which, by the way, I thought I updated you on this. I got a reply on AC chain coin. Hey, I'll put you in touch with so and so. So I reached out to so and so. Hey, I'm Jason at 4. Like to schedule interview with you about your crypto, your token. And the questions I'm gonna ask right off the bat, or at least sometime during the conversation, to crush this whole Lynette Zhang SDR being used AC, to crush that nonsense once and for all. I told you, when old Jason 4 opens his mouth and has to tell everybody, look, stay away from this person. They're leading down the wrong way. They're no idea what they're talking about, right? And I take egg on the face right off the bat because people are upset that I said that about this person. She's such a sweet older lady. Oh my God. But she doesn't know what she's talking about with cryptos. When I do my little research and I make a comment, as I've said, I've done this before a few times, haven't been wrong yet. I'm very careful when I do things like this because I don't want to make someone look bad if they don't have it, deserve it, so to speak. And I'm not that she deserves to look bad, but I guess what I'm trying to say is the controversy I'm going to start by saying such a thing, I don't want to put that on anybody unless it's warranted. And I told you I was leaving it alone until they freaking emailed me the other day. Hey, I'm so-and-so. I'll put you in contact with this guy. Oh, well, in that case, I guess I'm going to have to cover it because I told you I would, in all fairness to her and to me. SGT Bull, Sean, SGT report. Guys, we already got an official response. I showed you the email from the IMF that says they don't know what the hell this AC chain coin is. They don't have their permission to use the SDR or nothing else. Okay. I went right to the IMF. That apparently wasn't good enough for some people. Oh, the IMF would lie, Joe. Actually, they don't lie. They put the crap right in front of you. They don't hide it. That they're lending money to countries that they know can't pay it back, and then privatizing those assets that they put up to get the loan in the first place. And now the citizens of that country are in worse shape than they were before because they got a loan that they can't pay back, and now they had to give up something that was theirs. Public works, electricity companies, that kind of thing. There's no shame in their game. They're not hiding that at all. So I got that source knocked out. How about I go to the other source, AC Chain? Thank goodness they've replied and told me who to contact in their company, who had an email address at their website. So I knew, okay, good. And I've reached out. Hey, I'm Joe, whatever. I'd like to talk about this. We're going to sell this. And like I said the other day, what if by chance, I'm talking to this guy asking, okay, the SDR nonsense, you guys just put it in there to show the capability, correct? Yes, that's all it was. Okay, so you don't have an agreement or any talks with them? No, none at all. Okay, good. Now that garbage is out of the way, that we said it was, tell me a little bit about your coin. What is it, And I said, could you imagine if it ends up, like the moral of this story, is, holy crap, this was actually a pretty decent ICO. When's this next one y'all going to launch? I want in on that sucker. That would be funny. But whatever. Take care.